I need to drink.
Water.
Water is good for you.
Yeah, I like it.
I feel really huh? What?
Hi, everyone, and welcome to the Ducklings.
As you can see, today we are actually in a different room. It's an interesting one. It's my studio. It's where I do everything, to be honest. And we are here because I have a family visit and they're using the studio that I usually use to record. So let's see how this goes. Maybe this will become, I don't know, a studio here and there, just because it's a really fun and very much me of a background. Let me know what you think. Is this better? I mean, I put so much effort to showcase what I love with the other one that just feels a bit weird, but let me know what you think. Anyway, today we are doing something a bit different, mostly because I've been so tired and didn't edit. I have so much that is sitting in my already recorded bucket. I have so many episodes that need to be brought to light. I need to get better at that. Anyway, I thought we'll just do something fun. So for the past year or so, I've been collecting these little snippets that I've been seeing online. It can be a post somebody made and I liked it. It can be just a photo people shared and I thought it was relevant. So I'm going to be showing you that and I'm going to give a bit of what I think about it, how it impacts us in a real life matter. And yeah, let's see. It's a new format. Let's jump into it. Yeah, I don't know, Daria's screenshots collection. Okay, we're starting with this first one. So this is an image that's been like running around the internet. Thank you, Category Fury. And the quote is, everyone feels like they're cosplaying as a person. No, ma'am, you have autism. I don't know. I feel like the sentence of fake it till you make it is something that was not specifically invented for autistic people. And adulting is not something that was specifically made for neurodivergent people. So, although I see why in extreme cases it might be an indication of maybe being on the spectrum for autism, I don't see a direct correlation. I think a lot of us, when we come to the office, when we come to meeting new people, we put on this mask. And if you are neurodivergent, you might have more of a mask, you might have it a bit harder, but everybody must to some extent. And we take down the layers as we get closer to people and as we feel more confident. In some situations, for example, I went on a meetup the other night, and it was the first time where my goal was not, I need X to, I don't know, find a job. I need to get to know people that do X, Y, Z. I just came there and I was me without having any goal. And it became a lot more fun. And I felt like I personally was more myself. And it was easier to talk to people just because I didn't put that cosplay of a person. So let me know what you think. But I personally don't see this as a specifically autistic trait. Anyway, that's what I think. I'm just a person on the internet having her own thoughts thrown at you. If you feel otherwise, the comments are there just for that, so that everybody can have a full spectrum of ideas to make their own mind. Next. Let's do the next one. People with ADHD are more likely to get mystery bruises and cuts due to poor spatial awareness. Again, I'm no expert here at all, but this was actually one thing that I found out that led to me getting a diagnosis as ADHD. Because I am very good with my head. Like all of this that you see behind me is because I build things, I draw, I make things. I made a sofa for my room. I made like a spice rack. I'm constantly working with my hands. And by having this belief of myself that I'm so much in control when I do things, like I don't need many tries, if any, to put a thread into a needle. That takes me like one time and just and it's it. And then again, I just walk about a room and I happen to hit something, like the edge of a wall. How did I end up hitting a wall? It doesn't make sense. I go through a door and somehow I run into a part of it. And apparently, poor spatial awareness, having this aloofness, I guess, I have no idea, is a part of it. And I started noticing more and more that this is happening when I started actually getting medicated because it didn't stop it completely. It's not fixed, it's just helping me kind of cope with things and use things to my benefit. But yeah, for me, this was one of the things when I started saying, no way I have ADHD. They would have told me. I was diagnosed as a kid. They didn't say anything. So to be honest, I resonate with this one very much, mostly because when I just started thinking about the idea of having ADHD before I even got the diagnosis, this was one of these small facts that led me to think maybe I fit under that category. Usually I didn't think I was too hyperactive because I didn't connect a lot of things that I was doing because of that, like speaking all the time, not being comfortable with quiet moments at all, oversharing, and mostly internalized chaos and the fact that my brain never actually shut up until I started taking medication. And, now I can go to sleep just because my brain does shut up. At least. So for me, this was a big one. I really do stand by this. I hope that source is something you can check because obviously this is the reference and let me know what you think. I think it's pretty established, but maybe not well known. Did you know this? Is this something that you're like, I was this age when I found out that I actually got cut all the time because of my ADHD as well. That thing when I have it a lot with the PMDD forums where suddenly somebody says, hey, what do you do about that and that symptom? For example, like the jumping feet symptom, which is like when you fall asleep, like your legs are really like like annoying. And I started realizing that it was happening exactly on these times when I was having the PMDD. So just to say with this one, like suddenly somebody tells you there's a feature coming with your neurodivergency and you realize it wasn't a part of the collection of things you can expect to have and you can expect it to come back, especially with PMDD when things are coming back at the same time more or less. And it's easier to handle things if you know when they're coming. All right. Right. This is a bit longer. So I think this is a picture that I took as a screenshot from Instagram. I'm going to remove the name just because I don't know if somebody wants to have this. So this was a huge realization for me, especially after I read What I Mean When I Say I'm Autistic by Annie Kotovitz. Here's the quote. It wasn't until my 30s that I learned some people actually correct factual errors as a power move. That explains why teachers rarely appreciated it when I pointed out their mistakes. They saw it as an attempt to assert their authority. I also got similar reactions from classmates, colleagues, and others whose authority was equal to mine, because they assumed I was flexing on them. Nothing could be further from the truth. For me, showing someone where they're wrong feels like keeping them safe from the consequences of having a mistake. It's a collaborative pursuit of truth, not a power move. I need to shut my phone down. Yeah, shut up, phone. This resonates very strongly with me. I feel like a lot of times I need to tell someone, tell me what you think about this, or I need to have all of these like roundabouts. If somebody said something and it's wrong, there's a lot of subtle ways to say it so that they won't get angry. And it took me a while to realize that sometimes what I perceive as being a teamwork, as being communicative, might be taken as rude. It's also a part of it that I'm working in a country that's different than my origin country. So being an expat, working a different language than the one that is my mother tongue, obviously there's a lot of gaps with how we do things. Like if I work with Americans or Germans or people from Ukraine, there's a lot of different ways to be talking about something and to talking to a certain person based on what they perceive as your position and their position. Some of this I'm willing to acknowledge. I do think acknowledging cultural differences and communicating in a way that can be understood by the other side, the way you want it to be understood, meeting people where they are at, how they are at, and understanding, even though this is not how you would need this said, it's definitely the right way or the better way to pass on a point. And I don't know how old I was when I realized saying something in a way that somebody can understand wasn't the same as lying. It was a means to an end. It was meeting somebody where he is. And if I can verify that they understand me the way that I actually mean it, then I go there. But I try to learn how people communicate. And that's something that often comes out when you start a job or when somebody new comes in. There's a way that people communicate within a team. And you need to learn what is like a good idea, what is not. For example, I think one of the teams that we had would always have the what do you think? WTYT. I'm very bad at this apparently. In any case, it's just the abbreviation of what do you think? It took me a minute to find out what the abbreviation was. And apparently, like reading between the lines that they're not necessarily asking what I'm actually thinking about it. Like sometimes they do, but sometimes it's a way you say, here's what I think this is, here's the truth. But actually, what I hear when they say that is, what do you think of what I just said? Can you like give me your input? And then it took me a minute to see that, yes, my input might be relevant. And if that's the case, I would say. But it was also just a way of verifying that there's space for my opinion or for extra knowledge if I have it, but that they do think that this is the truth. And yeah, maybe that's something that you guys can use as well. I know I often use it in the German language. There's actually this like oder at the end of the sentence. So I can say, I think the sky is blue, oder. And it's a way to soften the blow of I'm telling you something and I'm pretty sure it's true, or I'm like 100% sure it's true. And I want to give you the space to respond. So is the sky blue? I think the sky is blue. Or do you think something else? I love it. I think it resonates with me. So maybe that is a broader problem and not just autistic people. I don't know. But yeah, I like this idea. I do think correcting someone should be something that is done for their benefit. And I wonder if we have other ways where we can highlight this to our colleagues that or like friends and everything else that wouldn't sound condescending. I think, unfortunately, telling them that in advance does help. We talk a lot on the channel about how, like, setting the expectations. If you know it's something that comes up repeated, you can kind of have a conversation to kind of align what's behind it. And I think we can probably do an entire episode just covering on like how we communicate different wavelengths, different behaviors to this basically. But I think I definitely was overdoing this. I wonder how many of these we can actually go through. I've never done this before. I don't know how many of these I can actually go through and bring value. Let's see. I liked it. I mean, so far I'm enjoying this. Okay. Okay. We have another one zooming in. We do have the person who's responsible for this. I love this one. So let's dig into it. And we're not going to cover all of them, but some of them I think we already have. Monitoring my voice and body language. I don't know if it's autism only, but I think because a lot of times we know, like I know I'm doing this all the time, and it might be, I don't know. Can you hear this? It's a self-soothing thing, right? Is it perceived well in normal, like day-to-day things? I don't know. In an interview, I know I'm very much like stressed. I need to prepare in advance. I have my balance board. I do all of that to kind of like feel very much in control of my body. And then I can feel very much in tune with what I'm doing. But I do also try to not stay too still because a lot of times, especially here, like I could just sit like this and talk to you a little bit. I don't really need the movement sometimes. And a lot of times I learned that movements, I mean, the bottom line is movements make you bigger. You take more space. Sometimes it's not easy for me. Sometimes I feel like I need to remember my place. I need to remember that I'm not that good. But then again, I need to remember my strengths as well. And part of that is that, especially when it's, it's my fucking, I don't know if I'm allowed to say It's my podcast and I can take as much space as I want. I think sometimes this awareness comes more from trauma than the actual need to be controlling. I think we can keep our behaviors in a way that is not interrupting other people. And I think we should take that into account. Okay. Um, I'm going to do a bit more. I think she made like the colors to kind of segment different things. So if I stick to the grain, so monitoring my voice and body language, suppressing stims. I guess that's also exactly what I was just saying. I'm kind of jumping into conclusion. The lingo of the autistic community is not something I'm very much aware of. I'm only just studying. But again, like doing this, or I don't know whatever it is I'm doing sometime, which is either a way to kind of like support myself, to do a bit of like a stimulating experience. Maybe I have some friends who constantly hold the fidget things, and the fidget things are annoying AF. So if they do it on like a work environment, for example, it might not be perceived well. So I don't believe in suppressing steams, if I understand it correctly. Tell me what you think. I believe that being ourselves can be good, and that if what you need to do is hug yourself a bit, like with your hand, find a way that is not annoying. Like I said, the fidget cubes thing, all the fidget stuff, if they don't make noise, you can do that. You can do it under the table, you can do it like in a pocket. I think it's something that you can balance. I wouldn't completely suppress it. Yeah, let me know what you think. But this would be like my uneducated on the topic advice. My experience is I can do that in a way. I'm gonna stick to the grains because I think they're good. So am I making enough eye contact? Oh my god, this one is painful, right? I don't know if it's an autism thing or whatnot, but because I think this for me would be a part of the hyperactivity, because I feel like there's so many things around. I would definitely, especially like with this background, I remember all different projects. I have like things here that I need to finish. I have my sister's present that I'm working on here. I have a lot of things that I need to do. And having all of these things in my brain, and in this case, in my environment, it's very easy to focus on one thing. And being a part of the conversation means that I need to, right? But if I was to just look somebody in the eye, this is how it looks. I don't think it's going to be a good experience for any of us. I heard on Rotten Mango, it's one of the best channels I've ever listened to. They talked about how long is appropriate to be looking at somebody directly in the eye. Apparently, according to them, there's a research and there's like a specific time frame that is good. Like it's not too much, it's not too little. And I have no idea if I coined it yet. I remember thinking about it when I heard that fact because my eyes go anywhere. I don't know if I've been looking at it like directly in the camera for long enough. Again, I'm allergic to the camera apparently. So I mean, I have actually a little corgi there so that I don't exactly look into the camera. Just small facts, small facts. So you don't need to. Anyway, do I relate to am I making enough eye contact? Yes and no. I know for a fact that maintaining eye contact is something that is very important for some people. And I try to comprehend if they are looking for it. Yes, it does take a bit of effort from me to be doing this. I need to specifically look at them and look for it. There's a lot of these little rules that I have in conversations that I use to make sure that I'm being a good companion to the conversation. Of course, different situations require different ways. So I think, am I making enough eye contact is one of these train of thoughts that can be really occupying us during the conversation. And it can end up being the main thing we're considering. I remember having conversations where I realized I need to smile more, right? People smile in these situations. They should like show the fact that they're happy. Or I did a couple of dumb things like going with a migraine to an interview. And on that interview, it can be with a user interview or it can be a job interview or like freelance with the client. Because of my PMDD, I used to have a lot of migraines. And I didn't want to miss on life. So I ended up going to the interview and I felt a bit embarrassed about it. So I never told anyone about having a migraine as I was talking to them. And I knew that I should react differently. Mostly, I knew that I came into these situations and I was trying to sell the person that I think I am. I tried to be more fun, smiling, not mumbling away like I do here. And it's harder when I have a migraine. And the problem was that I started thinking too much of, am I smiling enough? And I didn't listen to what the other person was saying. Because I don't know if you have it, but the minute like I go down a rabbit hole, it happens less with medication. My brain starts like, am I portraying that I'm happy about this? Am I portraying that this is exciting? Am I like conveying what I want to convey? Ends up being like, I'm not listening to the other person. It's straightforward. I don't know what they said. And at that point, I'm sadly a bit too talented to not let them know and still be able to jump back into the conversation. But it happens more often than I'd like to admit. I'm going to run through a few of these. I don't fit in. I don't fit in is painful. I don't fit in really resonates with me in my childhood. Because as a kid, I didn't care about not fitting in. I don't know if a lot of kids have this because you're having fun, you're enjoying it. You might not care if you don't have any friends. I definitely didn't, but my mom really wanted me to have a normal life. Normal. And I don't know how much of my thoughts about what is normal and how I should want my life to be comes from her and how much of it is actually me thinking it and feeling it. But as a kid, I had this rule based on something my mom said that I need to always have two friends. And I think that made me feel even more like I don't fit in. It wasn't that easy to find friends as someone who didn't really understand why she needed friends. It wasn't until like I don't know, fifth grade that I met someone I actually was interested in. And then I could have friends and I felt like I fit in. And it was the first time that I cared about fitting in. And I think a lot of us have a variety of experiences of wanting to be somewhere and being rejected. And I don't think we always have to fit in. I feel like we can accept the fact that sometimes we like not fitting in. I like the idea that when I go into a room, I have so many things that I care about that I'm going to go back to the meetup thing because sadly, I don't meet that many people. I work from my computer. A lot of it is one-on-one, but it was the one time when I got to meet a bunch of people. It was wonderful and exhausting. I talked about everything from product design to camper vans and about AI implementation, how to use agents, which is my latest obsession, and much more. Some of them I told my story, which is something I plan on doing here as well. It was interesting. We jumped so many subjects. I don't know if it's because I just ran into like-minded souls or if I had enough like social energy to loop people in, but it was fun. I can't even remember all of the subjects. And the idea that we jump from one to another, yeah, I remember saying I'm not going to talk too much. And I lied. Sorry about it. Running through another one. Unintentionally getting into other people's personal space. I really hope not. Not for me, at least. I wonder if it's something you're experiencing. I never actually experienced it, especially because I very much care about my personal space. I hate to hear people eating, for example. So if somebody's eating next to me, I keep a certain space. That's like but I can ignore it. I like to have the freedom to move. I don't like talking to somebody when they're a bit too close. I don't like it when people talk too close. So I don't think I'm getting into people's personal space. Not too often. I do come from a country where like touching somebody is more common than it is here in Germany. So I do try to very much be on top of that because I know touch is a certain personal space that some people dislike. I remember to offer a hug or a hand rather than assume that I can do it. And it's something I had to learn. I'm not going to lie. Okay. Questioning if it's my turn to speak. I don't know why I picked the blue one now, but that kind of jumped in. Yes, all the time, because I need to not let my brain run elsewhere. The idea that somebody's starting a conversation, they're starting to say something, and the few first words are not exact, could sometimes bother me because I feel like if your entire argument is going to be based on that, we are having a bit of an issue. But I learned the hard way that it's not a good idea to actually stop someone before they went forward and correct them because it just creates like a meta conversation. I try not to do that. And then what actually happens is that they keep raising more subject based on the first one. And when can I actually speak? That's okay to tell you that was wrong. I'm hoping to get better at this, but I think, yeah, it's definitely something that I need to be on top of. If I am extremely hyperactive during that day and my brain goes all over the place, cutting somebody mid conversation happens way more than I want to. Back to reading too much. There's too much noise, it hurts. Yeah. Specific noises more than others, but it happens. I know people who suffer from it more than I do. After COVID, I remember the first time post-COVID that I went to a flea market and I couldn't. It was just too much. Too many people, too much touching, too much everything. And usually I'm the person who's least impacted by this. A lot of my friends are, and we plan in advance, we plan to go places where it wouldn't be too much or where the noise is the right kind of noise. And yeah, I resonate with that. If you have any other hacks of how to handle this, it would be nice. We have some, of course. Maybe we'll touch on that. Okay, I feel like I'm embarrassed of my stuttering came in as much like when I was stuttering. So I don't think I'm embarrassed of my stuttering. I've learned to move on. When I learned how to drive, I learned how to drive stick. And in some cases, you remove the clutch too quickly and the engine just goes off. One thing that my teacher used to tell me was the best thing you can do if this happens during the test to get the license is just turn it back on and keep driving because that shows that you're in control of things. That shows confidence. And we worked on this, honestly. Every time I had the car turn off on me, I tried this, without looking like I'm hurrying anywhere, to just move on. Now, with the podcast, I often keep some of the stuttering because I feel like it's important. I feel like we should not hide it. But of course, some of my blabber is going to be edited out. I like it. I think it's important. I think as much as I like the list here, and I think we might do an episode just on that, I think this is a wonderful list to consider what you want to do, how you want to do it. So I just realized this is taking way, way too long. So I'm going to cut this into two parts. Second part is going to focus on this ADHD decluttering checklist because I think it's fun. We're going to try to pick something from this mess of a room and see if I should declutter it. Do you think I actually would? Let me know in the comments or check out the next video when it comes out. And if you are still here, hey, thank you. Thank you so much for being here. I know there's so many videos out there that you can be watching, and I really appreciate you for being here. If you want to help us grow we are here to be sharing stories and to be talking about everything work, life, and everything else with being a neurodivergent. And if any of that kind of relates to you, or even if you just enjoyed this one and you want to see me blabber again, let me know in the comments. That would definitely help the algorithm. If you feel like subscribing and liking, that would be amazing. Again, mostly for the algorithm than anything else. We're not trying to make any money here, but it would be very useful. So if you can do that, I'd appreciate it. That being said, thank you guys for everything. Have a good day and stay odd.